Hello, and welcome back to more Final Fantasy VII. We're at part 5. In the last part, Sector 7 collapsed in on itself and killed countless people, including Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse, as we're about to find out. So Avalanche is effectively dead at this point, except for the last remaining I can't talk. The last remaining members, Cloud, Tifa, and Barrett. And Barrett here, of course, is not taking it well, considering he just lost his friends, and he thinks he lost his daughter, Marlene. But as Aerith said in the last part, Marlene's in a safe space. She's okay. She's not dead. But still, that's it for Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse. Our partners in crime are gone. Which is it's pretty dark for a video game in general, to kill off people like that, but especially in 1997. And Barrett is just enraged at the Shinra for what they've done. But here's Tifa explaining to Barrett that Marlene is okay, because Aerith said that she put her in a safe spot. So that's good. And even still, though, Barrett doesn't want to think of his friends as dead. And they bring up the idea that maybe this is their fault for trying to fight the Shinra Corporation at all, to which Barrett immediately shoots down that idea and says, it's always been the Shinra. It's the Shinra. Barrett hates the Shinra. And then Tifa says she doesn't really know what she's feeling right now. She doesn't know if she wants to continue the fight, and Cloud seems to be thinking about other things. And he just kind of wanders off without saying a word. But, yeah. Now we have the issue of, we gotta go save Aerith, because she has been taken by the Turks, somewhere. We don't know where yet. But yeah. And then, yeah, they follow right behind. This is the first unexpected event of this story. Many more to come, I assure you. This story almost seems to be making an effort to subvert expectations from what you think it is. And then it kind of... When most stories would go right, this story goes diagonally up. It's interesting. And then there's that name Sephiroth again. Cloud had some weird flashback, and the name Sephiroth comes up again, so I don't know, maybe he's important. Just maybe. I'm going back here to pick up the Sense Materia, even though we'll be back here in a bit, but for some reason I felt the need to get the Sense Materia now, even though I never use it, because I know how to fight all the major bosses in this game. I don't need to know weaknesses and stuff like that, but we're just making our way back to Aerith's house, Aerith's house right now, to try to figure out, where she might be, and to hopefully find out where Marlene is. We're just navigating, once again, this very confusing pre-rendered background. When I first played there, I had no idea how to get through this thing. I was like, what the fuck is this? And that is kind of an issue with this game. Sometimes some backgrounds are they can be a little confusing to be like, what is something I can interact with, or where am I supposed to go? But honestly, it should never take more than a few seconds to figure that out. And if you're really confused, you can press the select button and it'll show a cursor showing where Cloud is and where entrances and exits are, and where there are objects that you can climb up. So that's super helpful. And the song that is about to play, here it is. This is Aerith's theme, which is just beautiful. It's Aerith's theme is one of my favorite themes in all of Final Fantasy. I just think it's a really moving piece of music. But this is where we're gonna get some of Aerith's backstory. What's up with her? Why they call her an ancient? You know, all that stuff. So, she is not Aerith's real mother. She found Aerith, as we'll see here, with her mother, her real mother, who was dying. But we'll see this here. Maybe I should let this speak for itself. I think this is a really, really cool sequence in this game. There's many cool sequences in this game, but this one is always kind of a standout to me. The way it tells this story of Aerith, I think, is, and the music, of course, helps it a lot. But it's kind of beautiful. I know the models are kind of bleh, but they do some really cool things here. Her husband was a soldier fighting some war in Wutai, and she got a letter saying that he was going to come home, but he never did. Maybe his leave was canceled or something. I'm jumping ahead here. She's explaining it all. Yeah. She went to the station every day to try to wait for her husband. And one day, that's a weird sight. A dying woman and her daughter, of course, is Aerith, who she takes in out of the dying request of her mother. Her mother's name is Ifalna. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. Like I said, I don't really go into the expanded universe of this game or anything like that with the voice. So the game itself doesn't have voice acting, so I don't really know how to pronounce everything because I haven't played the expanded universes or anything like that. So some names I might not know how to pronounce. But yeah, the way it kind of transitions between past and present here, I think is very interesting. It's neat. And Aerith's theme will get much more significance later. Most of you will know what I'm talking about, but there's a moment with Aerith later in this game that it's very famous, and her theme plays during that moment, and it's a tearjerker, let me tell you. But we'll get to that when we get to it. This is one thing I never quite understood. So this shows that the Turks know where Aerith lives, and they were really going after her. They're like pretty much trying to kidnap her. Why don't they come and kidnap her earlier? They know where she's living. I never fully understood that, but that's not a huge deal or anything. But basically, Aerith has some special powers from being an ancient. She hears voices. She hears the planet speak. And she hears voices of people past and present, some people dead, alive. She hears the planet speaking to her. She hears voices in her head. Yeah. So she is clearly very special. The ancient, she is the last surviving ancient after her mother died. she's it. So that's why the Shinra want her. They want her for her powers and to see, you know, hopefully they can use her to lead to the Promised Land, which we'll get into the Promised Land more later, but they've brought it up a few times here. And this is where Aerith brought Marlene to her, I guess, adoptive mother's house to keep her safe, and Barrett's going up to see her, of course. And he's crying. There's me forgetting that I'm not supposed to talk to him. I'm supposed to walk out. So, yeah, well, now we're on a mission to go save Aerith. Aerith is at Shinra headquarters, so that is where we're heading next. Our final destination in Midgar. So, yeah, but don't worry, a lot goes down there. So we still got, of course, the rest of this part and an entire other part left in Midgar. But yeah, that's the last destination we have in Midgar before, well, we'll get to that when we get to it. But yeah. And they leave, but I'm going to go right back in because I need to heal, and I don't want to use tents. I don't use tents in this game a lot until way later, because tents are expensive, so I don't like using them. And you don't really need to use them because there are plenty of opportunities to heal for way cheaper, sometimes for free, pretty much everywhere early on in the game. So that's nice. Later on, you don't get as many opportunities like that, and you might need to heal a bit more because enemies start hurting more, but at that point, you have the money to be able to buy all the tents you need, so, you know, it's fine. It's not a big deal. Yeah, anyways, we are going to the wall market to try to find a way to get up to the Shinra headquarters, which is, of course, on the top plate of Midgar and not in the slums, because, you know, it's the Shinra headquarters. It's where, you know, all the rich people work. But yeah, we're back through here. This is where on most playthroughs you will pick up that sense materia. I just went back for it, even though, like I said, I never use it. It's just, I guess I like to have it. But yeah. And some of you might be wondering why I don't have the all materia equipped to restore, or the cure spell. And that's because early on I don't really need restore all. Because I don't use cure a lot, because, like, I know some people are more OCD about this, but I don't really, I'm not too worried about my party members being at full health at all times, you know. You can get by fine if they have some damage taken. I only use cure on a party member when they really need it, so I don't feel the need to use up the one all materia we have right now on cure. I would rather have it as an offensive spell so I can get through battles quicker. But yeah, we'll be getting another all materia here pretty soon, by the end of this part. So then I'll put that on restore, in case of an emergency. There's Cloud spazzing out again. But we're going to take this wire. We can climb up it, and it will lead to the top plate, and will lead straight to Shinra headquarters, so that's fun. A golden shiny wire of hope. It was a bad analogy. And this song that's playing right here, I love this song. I don't think this song's on the soundtrack for this game, which is weird, but this is one of my favorite songs. I might be wrong about that. It might, It might be on it, but this is one of my favorite songs in this game. I have a lot of favorite songs from this game. I love this entire soundtrack, but this song is a standout to me because it's like, it just sounds very heroic, I guess. And this is one of the most confusing pre-rendered backgrounds in the game. Like, what the fuck is this? This is a nightmare to navigate your first playthrough. But we bought batteries from that shopkeeper down in the wall market, and we use the batteries in certain spaces here to keep progressing up so we can get up to the Shinra headquarters. And also, you only need to use 2 batteries to get up. You buy 3 though, and the 3rd one is used to get a treasure, which I believe is an ether. And ethers, you don't really need to use them a lot to restore MP, but they do sell for quite a bit of gil. They sell for 750 gil each, and that's pretty good for this early in the game. So, yeah. If you're ever hurting for cash, try to scout out some ethers. There are plenty throughout the game, and you can sell them. Because there are plenty of rest points in the game to restore your MP, so it's not a huge deal. That timing to get on that rope to swing on it is very precise. The key is when you hear the squeaking noise, right after you hear the squeaking noise, like the sound play all the way through, that's when you jump. Not right when you hear it from the first time, but after it's done playing, that's when you jump. And if you remember that, you'll get it. It's just a little precise, but oh well. And now I can't remember which one I need to go down. Here I am second guessing myself. I go down the wrong one. I had it right the first time, then I was like, wait, I think it's this one. But this one's a dead end, so then I have to crawl back up. Yeah, we are heading into the end segment of Midgar, like I said. Midgar is essentially a prologue for this game. It's about 4 to 5 hours, depending on if you know where you're going. You know, of course, if you speed it up on the re-releases, it will take less time if you use the speed up feature, but typically about 3 to 4 hours, or 4 to 5 hours to get through Midgar. And then it's kind of like then the game really starts, if you know what I mean. This is more, it's not really a tutorial, it's just more of like a prologue setting up the game's events. You'll see what I mean once we are done. But I think it's a really interesting introduction to this game. And I always love this shot here of the giant tower, and it just pans down, and then there's our 3 heroes standing there looking badass. Or as badass as PlayStation 1 models can look, but you know what I mean. It's a cool shot. But yeah, and once you get to the headquarters, you have 2 options. You can either do what Tifa wants, which is sneak in very quietly, or do what Barrett wants, which is bust on in through the front entrance, guns ablazing, going crazy. And I pick the second option, what Barrett wants, because I think that's more fun. And you can also get some experience from the battles, so that's nice, and some money. So I always go with that option. But both options, you know, it gets you to the same place. But yeah, I'm saving really quick. Just, you know, saving, always good thing, in case something goes horribly wrong. Saving is always a good option. Here's me having a brain fart and forgetting which save file I'm supposed to be saving into. It's the top one. But yeah. Alright, here we go. This is the bombing mission theme again. Avalanche is striking back for what the Shinra did. I will be cutting out most of the fights here. Not most, about half of the fights through this. If it's like I said, the rule is if it's an enemy we've already seen, I'll cut it out. I'm not sure if we've seen these guys. I don't think we have. I think these are stronger Shinra guards than the ones before. But yeah. Also, in a battle I cut out, we got Cloud's second level 1 limit break, which is Cross Slash, which is a really cool limit break. I like it a lot, and it does about as much damage as Braver, but it can also potentially paralyze an enemy, which is really good. It just freezes them in their tracks. Yeah, we're just making our way up. And yeah. And now we're going to get on the elevators, and that's when the elevator, as you'll see, is essentially a gauntlet. Here's me forgetting who has Cure, like a fucking idiot. The elevator is essentially a gauntlet where you just do battle after battle until you get up to floor 59, which is where we're heading, so we can get up to floor 60 and hopefully find Aerith. Barrett is laughing at Cloud. So Barrett is kind of warming up to Cloud a bit because he's realizing that Cloud is doing this selfless act here, trying to fight for someone else. He doesn't have to do this, but Barrett's kind of realizing maybe Cloud isn't all that selfish after all. So as you see now, the elevator's going fucking apeshit. And we need to stop it at just some random floor. We'll get into a battle. That's a battle I cut out because we've already just fought those enemies, but that's the standard thing here. The elevator will open, you will get into a battle, and then, yeah, there's going to be an enemy that we run into here that has an item that I want to steal. Cloud has the steal materia equipped, and when that happens, Final Fantasy VII has a really low steal rate for if you want to steal an item. It takes way too long to get a successful steal in this game, and it kind of annoys me, but I will speed that up for you guys because it takes me about 3 minutes to get the item that I'm looking for from this enemy. So I think that's the next battle here, I'm pretty sure. We'll see. But yeah, just keep in mind if you're wanting to steal items from enemies, and some enemies have some really good items. We're going to get from this enemy a carbon bangle, which is an armor that you don't get usually until much later in the game. So it's a really good equipment. Here, I am speeding this shit up because I'm not going to subject you guys to it. This is 20 times speed. It took me, like I said, about 3 minutes to get this. So that's not fun. But there it is. There's the carbon bangle. And later on we will run into this enemy later, and we will be stealing 2 more so we can have 1, or 3 more actually, so we can have it for all the party members. So that's nice. And then we will also be stealing a new weapon for Cloud, but that's not until the next part. But yeah. Now we are just making our way up through. I sped it up instead of cutting out that battle because we haven't seen that enemy yet, so you know, I wanted to show off the enemy at least. But what I'm doing there is switching the cover materia to Barrett because I realized Barrett is in the back row, and the way the cover materia works is if somebody covers somebody, that person in the back row will still take back row damage even if they're covering somebody in the front row. So it's just that overall your party is taking less damage if you give cover to somebody in the back row. So that's really useful. Yeah, here's this weird, I don't know what this is. It's a fish or something. I don't know. Why is it flying? There's me showing off cross slash again. Really cool animation there. This game has better animations than Pokemon Sword and Shield. The characters in this game actually run up and hit the enemies instead of just them jumping in place and the enemy takes damage. So, graphically this game is better than Sword and Shield. Yeah, here's floor 59. We've made it all the way up, so that's good. And yeah. And these enemies here, I will also, another rule for this, I will be showing required fights that no matter what path you take in this game, you will have to get into if you want to complete the game, and this is one of those fights here. This is a required fight, so I will be showing those off, even if it's an enemy we've already seen. Just because, you know, it's part of the Final Fantasy VII experience. But yeah. See how Barrett still only took half damage, even though Or I don't think that was a gunshot fire. Never mind. I'm an idiot. But you'll see Barret, even when he's covering somebody in the front row, will still only take half damage because it still registers him as being in the back row. So when you do that with a cover materia, it's super useful. Because, like I said, it just means your party overall is taking way less damage than they would otherwise. But yeah, we're just trudging along here. These guys don't like magic spells very much, so as you can see, magic is doing way more damage to them than physical attacks. But here I am just kind of trying to get through it, so I'm just starting to mash the X button to get through this battle. But yeah. And then we are making our way to floor 60, where then the real meat of the Shinra headquarters kicks in. Basically, the way this works, you will be getting a key card. You need to find a key card to get up more floors. So key card 60 will only let you get to floor 60. That's spazzing out there. So to get up to floor 61 or 62, etc., you need key card 61, 62. So yeah, and the way you get those key cards is through solving puzzles on each floor to move up higher. And hopefully we will get to a floor where, you know, Aerith is. This is a cool little transition here. So the security guard's falling asleep, and then it cuts straight into gameplay. It's a little choppy, but still, that FMV, like I said, FMV straight into gameplay, that's impressive technically, especially for the time. So we have, this is floor 60, and this part will be a little stealth segment here, which I actually fuck up my first attempt, so I cut that out to save time. But this stealth segment, it's basically you just have to stay out of the guards' line of sight. Of course, they have no peripheral vision or sense of sound, but yeah, you're just trying to stay out of their sight as you make your way along. And then you have to call the other two party members to get over there, and you have to call them over at the right time. Otherwise, you know, the guards will see them, and I accidentally fucked this up my first attempt. And if you fail, you know, it's not a game over or anything, you just get into a battle, and then you start over. And if you fuck it up too many times, the game will just be like, you suck, you're gonna keep going. It'll just let you keep going. But, yeah. It's pretty simple, you just gotta get the timing down, and once you do, it's not bad at all. I was just an idiot and got impatient, and don't be that. Don't play this game like I play this game. I'm a very impatient person when it comes to video games in general. It's a miracle I like JRPGs at all, honestly, but yeah. You just gotta, you know, have some patience. Don't go until you're confident that there's an opening, and you'll be fine. But yeah, and now we are making our way up to floor 61, where we need to get a key card. Oh, excuse me. Where we need to get a key card to get up to floor 62. And then the key card, I believe this guy has it. Yes. You don't ask where Aerith is, you just say nothing, and then he assumes that you're some sort of custodian or something, and it will give you the key card to get up to the higher floors. So yeah. And then floor 62, this is where the first real puzzle is. This is where the mayor stays, and the mayor, because he doesn't do anything, as they established earlier, he's kind of bored, so he wants to play a game with you. And you have to guess a password based on the placements of these books. It's actually a pretty complicated puzzle, but the way to cheese it is you go to this room, check the left shelf, like the middle shelf on the very left side, and then depending on what it is, that will be the answer. So if it's that New Plans for Urban Development one, the answer is Mako, which is what I'm going to put here. And that's an easy way to get through this, and if you get it right on your first try, he will give you an elemental materia, which, as I mentioned before, the elemental materia, you can link with magic materia, and it will give whatever weapon or armor the materia is equipped to that element. So, say you give Cloud's sword a lightning materia, link it with an elemental materia, then suddenly his Buster Sword has the lightning element, so it's super strong against metal enemies, or enemies that are weak to lightning, as I'm doing here. So the elemental materia is super useful. Later on you will get something called the added effect materia that will do something similar, but instead it will inflict status elements based on that element to an enemy. So, for example, if you link poison in added effect, then your attacks will have a chance of poisoning an enemy. Or if you equip time in added effect, your attacks will have a chance of just stopping an enemy in their tracks. And that's a super useful thing that I take advantage of later in the game. So this part is completely optional. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to. But basically, you have you can open only 3 doors through this whole thing, and you have to find a way to get these 3 items. And these are 3 pretty good items, so I would recommend doing it, but it is optional. One of them is an all materia that we are going to get and link to Tifa. But yeah, basically you just have to go the path that I'm going here, and you will get all 3. It's an all materia, a star pendant, which is an accessory, which is the 3rd type of equipment that we haven't gotten into yet. Accessories, just they can do a variety of things like prevent status ailments, boost stats, stuff like that. And the star pendant prevents you from getting poisoned, so that's super useful. And then the 3rd one is a 4 slots, which is an armor piece that has 4 slots of materia. I don't use it because the defense kind of sucks, but for this early in the game, if you don't steal the carbon bangles, it can be useful if you want more materia on someone. But for the most part, I don't use it. But you can sell it, so there's that. And yeah, then you receive all your items, and then you keep going up. Then we're up to floor 64, and yeah, we're just making our way up the Shinra headquarters, being all sneaky like and stuff, you know. But anyways, that's gonna just about do it for this part. I'm going to go and heal up, and then there's a save point on floor 64. And that's gonna just about do it for this part. In the next part, we are going to be finishing Midgar, so look forward to that. A lot's gonna go down in the next part. It's a longer one, so like I said, look forward to that. I hope you guys are enjoying this series. I'm certainly enjoying making it. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time for more Final Fantasy VII.